Hey there, this is Holly's Rocking Recipes, and I'm Holly, and thanks for checking me out. So today I'm going to be making something that I came up with when I wanted to do something different with stuffed mushrooms. So I'm going to be making my hot stuff sausage mac and cheese stuffed mushroom pie. I know it sounds complicated, I promise you it's not, and it is over the top delicious. You can serve it as a meal for 4 people, or you can cut it up smaller and use it as an appetizer. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what you're going to need to put it together. I use a 9-inch springform pan. Now I like springform pans because you can just hit the latch and the outside comes off and you can slice into what you're making real easily. If you don't have a springform pan, you can certainly just use a regular 9-inch round pan. So the first thing that you're going to need is 16 ounces of sausage. I just buy it like this and cook it up. You can get mild or hot, of course. 16 ounces of already made mac and cheese. Yes, I'm totally cheating. You can, of course, make your own mac and cheese. If you do, you're going to need 2 cups. So obviously, I bought mine in the freezer section. You can also buy it at the deli at your local grocery store. And 16 ounces of mushrooms. You can either use white mushrooms or portobello mushrooms, 16 ounces of those. So easy to remember, 16, 16, 16 ounces. So the next thing is 8 ounces of onion and chive cream cheese, one of my favorite ingredients, and a little bit of extra shredded cheddar cheese, about 8 ounces of some extra shredded cheddar cheese. We're going to need already made stuffing mix. Now again, like I said, I'm cheating to make this easier, but with this stuffing mix, I also use a 10-ounce can of beef consomme. Now you can also use beef broth or beef stock, that would be fine too. But I think beef consomme just has a richer flavor, so I like to use that. And we're going to need 2 eggs to get this all binded up. And lastly, just some basil to give it some freshness. So I'll pull you in a little bit closer and show you how I put all of this together. Okay, so let's get this sausage mac and cheese stuffed mushroom pie put together. The first thing I want to talk about are the mushrooms. So what I've done is when I took the mushrooms out of its packaging, I got some paper towel and wiped them clean, and then I cut the stems off. I chopped up the stems and I put them in this bowl over here because I'm going to be putting that in our stuffing mixture. Then I put the mushroom caps in a baking dish. I drizzled them with olive oil, a little bit of red wine, salt and pepper, and I pre-cooked them on 350 for about 10 to 12 minutes just to get them cooked down a little bit because they need a little bit of extra time than the stuffing does. So I'm going to go ahead and just put all of these in the bottom of my very well greased pan, because I don't want the stuffing to stick when I take the sides off of the pan. And same thing, even if you don't have a springform pan, you're not going to want it to stick. So make sure you grease it up really well. So those are all at the bottom of my pan ready to go. Speaking of the stuffing that's going in there. Now what I want to do first is just take my already boxed stuffing mix that's dry. I don't go by the package instructions. I just pour it in here and rehydrate it by using my 10-ounce can of beef consomme. So that is just going to sit there for just a minute, give it a little stir, just to hydrate up all those breadcrumbs. And there's so much seasoning in this pre-made stuffing mix. There's onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper, dried herbs. There's so much flavor in this. I'm actually not going to even add any more salt into this stuffing mix at all because it has so much seasoning in it, which is great. So that's going to sit there for just a minute and rehydrate. Now in this bowl I have my already cooked up 16 ounces of sausage. So to that I'm going to add my 16 ounces of already cooked mac and cheese. Whatever your favorite mac and cheese is, like I said, you can also make it homemade. And that goes in. And the next thing that goes into our stuffing mixture is the tub of onion and chive cream cheese that's been softened up. So that goes in there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of extra cheese, about a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. It's going to go in. And then I'm just going to give this a stir to get it all mixed up. Yeah, this is definitely decadent and rich. It's certainly not diet food, but that's okay once in a while. And then the next thing I'm going to put in here are my mushroom stems that I had taken off the mushrooms and chopped up. So those go in. And get that all stirred up. And this does look like a lot, but we're going to need it for the size of the pan that we have. So I'm going to put in my basil, which is probably a good 3 tablespoons of basil that I've chopped up. And then we will go ahead and put in our rehydrated stuffing mix. It's been hydrated with the beef consomme that has so much flavor in it. And that goes in. And I want to give this all a good stir. Get that mixture all going in there. It already sounds creamy and delicious. And with the pretty specks of basil and the freshness of the basil. And the last thing I'm going to put in here is 2 beaten eggs that I've already beaten up. Now, the reason for the eggs is it's going to bind everything together so that when you cut it, it cuts into nice slices. Also add some protein. And I definitely want to make sure the egg gets really incorporated into all of it. And like I said, this will definitely feed a family of 4. It is very filling and rich. Or you can cut it into smaller slices and serve it as an appetizer. I mean, it is, after all, sausage, mac and cheese, stuffed mushrooms, just done a little bit differently. Okay, I think we've got everything in there the way I want it to be. So I'm just going to bring my pan over and get all this mixture on top of those mushrooms that have been pre-cooked with a little bit of olive oil and red wine, just a splash. And press this down. As you can see, it really fills up this pan. Just want to make sure it's all pressed down. And then for the topping, I'm just going to put a little bit more cheese. Now I'm going to bake this at 350 for about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, I would say, until the cheese is all melty and the sides are golden brown. Because everything in here is already cooked, obviously, except for the raw eggs. But we want it to get all nice and heated and the eggs get a chance to bind it together. And that's it. I'm going to pop it in the oven so I can get a taste of this sausage, mac and cheese stuff. Mushroom pie. Now, about 15 minutes ago, I took my sausage, mac and cheese stuffed mushroom pie out of the oven, and it's cooled just enough so that I can touch the pan. And I want to take the outside off of my springform pan. Now, I ran a knife around the inside a couple of times just so that this hopefully pops right off. There you go. Look at that. And the smell is amazing. It smells like everything that's in there. Sausage, mac and cheese, mushrooms. It looks so good. And the speckles of the basil in there makes it look so pretty too. So I just want to cut into it. And because I put those 2 beaten eggs in there, it's going to set up really nice. So I want you to see how pretty this is. Not to mention the flavor. So down at the bottom are the mushrooms. Just going to slide that in. Oh wow, look at that piece. Whoops, I lost the mushroom. I can't do that. Slide that back in there. Wow. Hot stuff, sausage mac and cheese stuffed mushroom pie. That is a mouthful. And speaking of mouthful, I got to taste it. That makes me want to dance.